History calendar, May 12th, 1945. Hey there, it's Duchos. And today's story isn't about heroism. Today's story is about a traitor, a guy who went from being a PE teacher to becoming Hitler's tool. He tore the Republic apart from the inside, signed off on death sentences for thousands, and in the end, checked out in a prison cell with a piece of broken glass in his hand. Yeah, today we're diving into the story of Konrad Henlein. And he wasn't just some low-level collaborator. He was one of the main architects of the First Republic's collapse. And on May 12th, 1945, just 5 days after the war ended, he took his own life. So grab a drink, get comfy, and let's see how it all went down. It started off pretty innocently. Konrad Henlein was born in 1898 in what's now part of Liberec. Back then it was Mafersdorf in Austria-Hungary. His dad was an Austrian customs officer and his mom came from a German family, a classic example of a borderland mix. Young Konrad was a smart kid, but mostly a sportsman. He fought in World War I as a volunteer in the Tyrolean Alps, got a medal for bravery and came back home as a wounded veteran, both physically and clearly mentally. After the war, he became a gym teacher in Liberec. He taught at a German high school, had charisma, and knew how to speak to people. Most importantly, he noticed that many Germans in the border regions didn't feel like part of the new Czechoslovakia. And honestly, they often had a point. The state was Czech-dominated, German got pushed aside, and German schools and officials were marginalized. While most people just accepted it and moved on, Henlein saw a political opportunity. In 1933, the same year the Nazis took power in Germany, Henlein founded the Sudeten German Homeland Front in Czechoslovakia, later renamed the Sudeten German Party, SDP. And here's where things start to get spicy. Outwardly, Henlein played it cool. He talked about equality, autonomy, cultural rights, claimed he didn't want to join Germany. But behind the scenes, he was meeting with Nazi emissaries and taking orders straight from Berlin. Oh, and money, lots of it. Within a few years, the SDP became the strongest German party in Czechoslovakia. In the 1935 elections, they pulled in over 2 million votes. On paper, they still swore loyalty to the Republic, but in reality, they were laying the groundwork to destroy it. Henlein traveled to Berlin, praised Hitler, and promised he'd help dismantle Czechoslovakia without a single shot. The plan was simple: stir up tension, cause unrest, and force the big powers to come help the Sudeten Germans. Then came 1938, Munich, betrayal. Western powers gave in to Hitler and Czechoslovakia was forced to give up the borderlands, the very areas where Henlein had the most influence. So what did our gym teacher do? He stormed into Liberec as a Gauleiter, the Reich's official overseer of the Sudetenland, handpicked by the Nazis. Suddenly, he was the big boss. He had the full Nazi machine, the army, the Gestapo, the whole Third Reich apparatus at his fingertips. And he got to work. First the schools and offices, out with the Czechs, then the businesses, Aryanization, then the people, deportations. Within 2 years, he'd sent tens of thousands to their deaths or to concentration camps. But here's the twist. Henlein wasn't exactly a model Nazi. In fact, many Nazis didn't even like him. They thought he was soft, vain, and worst of all, too ambitious. Himmler hated him, Goebbels didn't trust him, and Hitler only kept him around as long as he was useful. Henlein knew it, but there was no way out. He was part of the machine, but never truly one of them. When the war broke out, Henlein had full control of the Sudetenland. He oversaw the expulsion of Czechs, appointed his loyalists, and reshaped the region into a Nazi stronghold. But deep down, frustration grew. His power slowly faded. He became a puppet, controlled by others. By 1943, he was basically a powerless administrator. And when the Americans rolled into the Sudetenland in May 1945, it was clear the game was over. Henlein tried to run. First, he hid out with friends, then changed into civilian clothes and tried to vanish. But the Americans recognized him. Face and papers gave him away. They arrested him and handed him over to Czechoslovak authorities. he ended up in a prison cell in Pilsen, and there on May 12, 1945, 4 days after the war ended, he made his final move. He smashed his glasses, grabbed a shard, and slit his wrists. He died quietly, alone. No trial, no punishment, no one ever got to face him. His body was cremated, his ashes buried who knows where. No grave, no monument, just a name that stuck in history as a symbol of betrayal. Konrad Henlein, the guy who used democracy to tear it down from within. A PE teacher who played at politics. A politician who sold out his own country. A traitor who ran, and when he had nowhere left to go, took himself out. And you know what's the scariest part? Henlein wasn't a fanatic. He wasn't a sadist like Heydrich. He wasn't a lunatic like Hitler. He was a regular guy, educated, well-spoken, polite, with a bit of charm, and that's exactly what made him dangerous. Because that's what the perfect tool of totalitarianism looks like. Someone who seems nice, but quietly chips away at the system until it collapses. Today, on May 12th, most people remember the end of the war. Victory Day, the fall of Nazism, the return of freedom. But I say, let's also remember the ones who almost robbed us of that freedom entirely. Not on the battlefield, but at the desk. Not with tanks, but with microphones. Because sometimes evil doesn't wear a uniform, it wears a tie and a smile. So here's to that. Let's hope there's never another Henlein, not in the Sudetenland, not anywhere. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you liked the video, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and feel free to share it. It really helps others who care about history too. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next, and if you enjoyed this one. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.